what mantras and japa really do? A mantra is a word or phrase which has been given to a disciple by a guru, usually as part of an initiation rite. If the guru has accumulated spiritual power as a result of his realization or meditation, some of this power is transmitted in the mantra. If the disciple repeats the word continuously, the power of the guru is invoked in such a way that it helps the disciple to progress towards the goal of self-realization. Sri Ramana accepted the validity of this approach, but he very rarely gave out mantras himself, and he never used them as part of an initiation ceremony. He did, on the other hand, speak highly of the practice of Nama Japa, the continuous repetition of God's name, and he often advocated it as a useful aid for those who were following the path of surrender. In its early stages, the repetition of the name of God is only an exercise in concentration and meditation, but with continued practice, a stage is reached in which the repetition proceeds effortlessly, automatically, and continuously. This stage is not reached by concentration alone, but only by completely surrendering to the deity whose name is being repeated. To use the name of God, one must call upon him with yearning and unreservedly surrender oneself to him. Only after such surrender is the name of God constantly with the man. When Sri Ramana talked about this advanced stage of japa, there was an almost mystical dimension to his ideas. He would speak of the identity of the name of God with the self, and sometimes he would even say that when the self is realized, the name of God repeats itself effortlessly and continuously in the heart. This ultimate stage is only reached after the practice of japa merges into the practice of self-attention. Sri Ramana usually illustrated the necessity of this transition by quoting from the words of Nambdev, a 14th century Maharashtra saint. The all-pervading nature of the name can only be understood when one recognizes one's own I. When one's own name is not recognized, it is impossible to get the all-pervading name. This quotation comes from a short work by Nambdev entitled The Philosophy of the Divine Name, and the full text is given in one of Sri Ramana's answers later in the chapter. He first discovered it in 1937, and for the last 13 years of his life, he kept a copy of it on a small bookshelf by his bed. He frequently read it out when visitors asked him about the nature and usefulness of japa, and from the number of times he spoke of it with approval, it is reasonable to assume that he fully endorsed its contents. My practice has been a continuous japa of the names of God with the incoming breath and the name of Sai Baba with the outgoing breath. Simultaneously with this, I see the form of Baba always. Even in Bhagavan, I see Baba. Now, should I continue this or change the method, as something from within says that if I stick to the name and form, I shall never go above name and form. But I can't understand what further to do after giving up name and form. Will Bhagavan enlighten me on this point?
You may continue in your present method. When the japa becomes continuous, all other thoughts cease and one is in one's real nature, which is japa or dhyana. We turn our mind outwards on things of the world and are therefore not aware of our real nature, being always japa. When by conscious effort of japa or dhyana, as we call it, we prevent our mind from thinking of other things, then what remains is our real nature, which is japa. So long as you think you are name and form, you can't escape name and form in japa also. When you realize you are not name and form, then name and form will drop of themselves. No other effort is necessary. Japa or dhyana will naturally, and as a matter of course, lead to it. What is now regarded as the means, japa, will then be found to be the goal. Name and God are not different. This is clearly shown in the teachings of Nambdev. The name permeates densely the sky and the lowest regions and the entire universe. Who can tell to what depths in the nether regions and to what height in the heavens it extends? The ignorant undergo the 84 lakhs, 8.4 million, of species of births, not knowing the essence of things. Nambdev says the name is immortal, forms are innumerable, but the name is all that. The name itself is form. There is no distinction between name and form. God became manifest and assumed name and form. Hence the name the Vedas established. Beware, there is no mantra beyond the name. Those who say otherwise are ignorant. Nambdev says the name is Keshava, God himself. This is known only to the loving devotees of the Lord. The all-pervading nature of the name can only be understood when one recognizes one's own I. When one's own name is not recognized, it is impossible to get the all-pervading name. When one knows oneself, then one finds the name everywhere. To see the name as different from the name creates illusion. Nambdev says, ask the saints. No one can realize the name by practice of knowledge, meditation, or austerity. Surrender yourself first at the feet of the Guru and learn to know that I myself is that name. After finding the source of that I, merge your individuality in that oneness which is self-existent and devoid of all duality. That which pervades beyond Vaita and Vaitatita, that name has come into the three worlds. The name is Parabrahman itself, where there is no action arising out of duality. The same idea is also found in the Bible. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
So the true name of God will ultimately be revealed by self-inquiry?
Since you yourself are the form of the Japa, if you know your own nature by inquiring who you are, what a wonder it will be. The Japa, which was previously going on with effort, will then continue untiringly and effortlessly in the heart.
How long should I do Japa for? Should I also concentrate on an image of God at the same time?
Japa is more important than external form. It must be done until it becomes natural. It starts with effort and is continued until it proceeds of itself. When natural, it is called realization. Japa may be done even while engaged in other work. That which is the one reality. It may be represented by a form, a japa, mantra, vikara, or any kind of attempt to reach reality. All of them finally resolve themselves into that one single reality. Bhakti, vikara, and japa are only different forms of our efforts to keep out the unreality. The unreality is an obsession at present, but our true nature is reality. We are wrongly persisting in unreality, that is, attachment to thoughts and worldly activities. Cessation of these will reveal the truth. Our attempts are directed towards keeping them out, and this is done by thinking of the reality only. Although it is our true nature, it looks as if we are thinking of it while doing these practices. What we do really amounts to the removal of obstacles for the revelation of our true being.
Are our attempts sure to succeed?
Realization is our nature. It is nothing new to be gained. What is new cannot be eternal. Therefore, there is no need for doubting whether one could lose or gain the self.
Is it good to do japa when we know that inquiry into the self is the real thing?
All methods are good since they will lead to the inquiry eventually. Japa is our real nature. When we realize the self, then japa goes on without effort.
I'm not learned in the scriptures, and I find the method of self-inquiry too hard for me. I'm a woman with 7 children and a lot of household cares, and it leaves me little time for meditation. I request Bhagavan to give me some simpler and easier method.
No learning or knowledge of scriptures is necessary to know the self, as no man requires a mirror to see himself. All knowledge is required only to be given up eventually as not self. Nor is household work or cares with children necessarily an obstacle. If you can do nothing more, at least continue saying, I to yourself mentally, as advised in Who Am I? If one incessantly thinks I go, it will lead to that state, the self. Continue to repeat it whatever work you may be doing, whether you are sitting, standing, or walking. I is the name of God. It is the first and greatest of all mantras. Even Om is second to it.
For controlling the mind, which of the two is better, performing japa of the ajapa, unspoken mantra, or of Omkar, the sound of Om?
What is your idea of unspoken and involuntary japa, ajapa? Will it be a japa if you go on repeating with the mouth soham, soham? Ajapa really means to know that japa, which goes on involuntarily without being uttered through the mouth. Before beginning, a japa breath control is prescribed. That means first do pranayama and then begin repeating the mantra. Pranayama means first closing the mouth, doesn't it? If, by stopping the breath, the 5 elements in the body are bound down and controlled, what remains is the real self. That self will by itself be repeating always, aham, aham. That is a japa. The vision of the real self, which performs japa of its own accord, involuntarily and in a never-ending stream, like the flowing down continuously of oil, is a japa, gayatri, and everything. If you know who it is that is doing japa, you will know what japa is. If you search and try to find out who it is that is doing japa, that japa itself becomes the self.
Is there no benefit at all in doing japa with the mouth?
Who said there is no benefit? Such japa will be the means for chittasuddhi. As the japa is done repeatedly, the effort ripens and sooner or later leads to the right path. Good or bad, whatever is done never goes to waste. Only the differences and the merits and demerits of each will have to be told, looking to the stage of development of the person
Is not
concerned.
mental japa better than oral japa?
Oral japa consists of sounds. The sounds arise from thoughts. Therefore, mental japa is better than oral japa.
Should we not contemplate the japa and repeat it orally also?
When the japa becomes mental, where is the need for sounds? Japa, becoming mental, becomes contemplation. Dhyana, contemplation, and mental japa are the same. When thoughts cease to be promiscuous and one thought persists to the exclusion of all others, it is said to be contemplation. The object of japa or dhyana is the exclusion of several thoughts and confining oneself to one single thought. Then that thought too vanishes into its source. Absolute consciousness, the self.
Can the bliss of Samadhi be gained thus?
The japa becomes mental and finally reveals itself as the self. That is Samadhi.